Why are you out there? All right, gang, you've had more than your 15 minutes. All right. Ooh, now I got volume. Yeah, that works a lot better. Quiet. How's that work? Not aggressive enough, I guess. Oh, you're getting better. Hello. Hey. Okay, welcome to the second part of our evening tonight of our Feast of Fools. We've really had a great range already. I should mention that I, in my usual estimable manner, managed to screw up the introduction to Youth Right when our spoken word choir. Youth Right is actually a program for young writers ages 12 to 18, and it's a summer program. So this is a great little project for all those young writers that want to start early. Okay, so now we move on to our second half, if I can find it. If you're wondering why I keep using these notes, I just sort of got them before, just when I arrived here tonight. So it's my great pleasure to introduce a friend that I've known for some years now and have worked with in the Writers Union and have been a victim of his hosting as well. Bill A. Nickerson is the author of the Publishing Triangle Award. Oh, I get it. Okay, nominated the Asthmatic Glassblower. Let Me Kiss It Better. Asthmatic Glassblower. Oh, go there, Billy. Elixirs for the Not So Straight and Narrow and Mac Poems. There's a new collection entitled Impact, the Titanic Poems, and that will be published in the spring of 2012, and I gather he's off to Paris to research the poor guy. I don't think I actually need to say too much more about Belay. He has a million credentials here, and I think you'll get to understand them when he comes up. Bill A. Nickerson.
Is this which one? I think it's this one. One sec. Well, it was so short, I just didn't think. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Hi, everybody. Is everyone feeling sexy? Yay! Oh, you're the mom. You're not supposed to do that. You're busted. Will you do your Marilyn Monroe impression for me? No, not right now. In my room. Haha. Okay. I went and got olives today, and I made them put a fridge in my room. I was very excited. Okay, it's the small things. It's the small things. So I'm going to read a few poems. I feel a bit weird because I have been working on a book about the Titanic, and it did not seem appropriate to read those for the Evening of Fools. I guess I could have talked about some of the designers and stuff, but I made an executive decision, and I will not be reading poems about that. This first one is a poem that was in CV2, which is a magazine from Winnipeg. It's called The Party, circa 1985, and it's dedicated to Lorna Crozier, who is a wonderful Canadian poet. Suppose coworkers throw you a going-away party, and when you arrive, you are drawn to one coworker in particular. Let's call her Jean. And unlike most days when she shows up in a conservative blouse and medium-length skirt, her hair brushed but nothing fancy, her face makeup free, suppose when you see Jean at your going-away party, you're taken by her red jumpsuit with big shoulder pads, and how she's curled her hair into ringlets that frame her large eyeglasses and big dangly earrings. Suppose when you see Jean, you scream how amazing she looks, how much you love her new hairdo, and how you're so happy she's found this part of herself you knew existed, but never thought you'd see. Suppose you'd greet another coworker, and another, and when you look around the room, it's filled with clunky earrings and jumpsuits and big hair. And suppose you begin to realize the party's theme is to dress like you. But instead of getting the joke right away, you spend the first 5 minutes complimenting everyone on how good they look. How marvelous, and never better. Suppose you tell this story to a friend who loves you dearly, and when he decides to write something in your honor, he can't stop thinking about the party, where even in going away, you help your coworkers find poetry in the least expected places, just as you always have, and how he felt compelled to share this in a few plain-spoken words as part of your legacy. Thank you, and as you've noticed, to date, Lorna has not killed me yet. I got a phone call the other day, and someone said, belay, and I was like, what? What's going on? What's going on? They're like, have you ever noticed when they say Jack Layton, and they say it quite often and quickly, it sounds like ejaculating. And then the friend said, Jack Layton, 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 Jack Layton. And I'm like, I get it. So I thought that would be appropriate just to share with you because of the election. Maybe it will bring some excitement into your world. Okay, so I'm going to read a few poems from Mick Poems. This first one, and the only thing you need to know is all the poems, they're written from a second-person point of view, so when you hear the you are being situated behind the counter of a fast food restaurant. Maybe you can guess what kind of restaurant it is. This is called The Unicorn. Infamous for many things, but named after only one, the unicorn orders a soft-serve cone, then sticks it to the top of his forehead and walks around the restaurant until it melts and slides away. Sometimes the melting takes a few seconds, but other times you'll see him sitting with rivulets of cream trickling down his face, his proud cone still intact. How can you not watch a man with an ice cream cone on his head? It's true, with him they broke the mold. He's one of a kind. Pickle Sunday. How can you refuse to make a sundae topped off with pickles when a customer explains this is how she'll tell her husband about her pregnancy? When she walks back to the table with a hot fudge sundae for him and a pickle sundae for her, he doesn't even notice at first. Just stuffs his face with spoonful after spoonful until he sees the pickles in her ice cream, then hugs her so tightly you worry about the baby. Things people have asked you to search for in garbage cans. Wallets, leather gloves, wedding rings, keys, paychecks, report cards, a cherished photo of a dead grandson, x-rays, divorce papers, a pregnancy test, a teddy bear, their neighbor's dentures. Madonna. The only thing harder than being named Madonna is being named Madonna and having to wear a name tag. and little white spoons. Rumor had it too many customers used the little white spoons to snort cocaine, so head office discontinued them in favor of wooden stir sticks. Nobody could confirm this for sure, but on the day the ever-smiling mayor visits the drive-thru asking, "Whatever happened to those little white spoons?" you realize the rumors are true. Okay, and I wanted to dedicate something to Stephen Harper. And I've been thinking about Stephen a lot. Usually I'm lying down and not wearing a lot, but anyways, well, because I think of him in the morning. I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, he's our prime minister. And I think that he's not really scared of the coalitions. He doesn't understand because he thinks that a coalition is actually an orgy. It's like a come together thing, and he's jealous. So if anybody sees him, tell him, Stephen, it's an orgy. It's a good thing. So like I said, I want to read this for our Prime Minister. It's called The Classic Dong. My dildo adventure started when a friend who I never would have guessed would purchase a dildo, or at least purchase a dildo, then tell me about it, spoke of its many virtues. I think his exact words were, "It makes me come like the Dickens." I didn't know exactly what the Dickens means or where the expression came from. It makes me think of Charles Dickens and Oliver Twist and Ebenezer Scrooge, all decidedly unsexy things. But I could tell by my friend's face that the Dickens was a good thing, that I too needed to explore. While touring the sex shops on Vancouver's Granville Street, because it's important to comparison shop even for sex toys, I learned many things about myself. For instance, I found out that the word jelly does not excite me the slightest. I also learned that I'm not the kind of person who is turned on by dildos shaped like the signs of the zodiac. I did, however, wonder briefly whether it is more exciting to use a dildo in the shape of one's own sign or of a compatible sign. It would add a whole new dimension to the age-old pickup line, "What's your sign?" I silently thank my parents for giving birth to an Aquarius, the water bearer, and not a Gemini, the twins. After many trips to many stores, I decided upon a basic model. The package called it the Classic Dong. The sales clerk exclaimed that I had picked a good product and gave me washing instructions in the same way people in clothing stores give helpful hints about caring for the jeans you just bought. Apparently, dishwashing detergents with an antibacterial agent are just as effective as expensive cleaners. I thanked the clerk and wondered whether I had just learned the real reason why that manicurist on the dishwashing detergent commercials thinks so highly of the product. I'm sure she soaks in it all the time. Back at home, I noticed a sticker that read, "Over 1 million sold." Had I become the kind of person who purchases something based on its popularity? Had I just bought the dildo equivalent of a Shania Twain CD? But I didn't want to make hasty judgments before I tried it out. The proof would be in the pudding, so to speak. Later that... Sorry. Yeah. It's just, I just realized everyone's visualizing. Okay. Later that night, before I tried it out, I found myself thinking about those million dildos. That's a lot of dildos. I wondered how far they would stretch if laid end to end. And I started converting inches to feet to miles and so on. It worked out the 1 million versions of my dildo would stretch out 203 kilometers. Enough to get from New York to Atlantic City with dildos to spare. The next day, my friend asked me how it had gone, and and whether I thought my dildo smelled like Barbie. I told him it may have smelled like Barbie, but it sure felt like Ken. Thank you, Calgary.
Thank you, Billy. I'll never think of dildos the same way. Did it vibrate? Alrighty. And now it's my really great honor to introduce Sherry D, the master of the festival, the organizer, the originator, the mama of Dada. Sherry D. Wilson has 7 collections of poetry, 2 spoken word CDs, and 4 award-winning video poems, all produced for Bravo Fact. I just adore Airplane Paula. If any of you ever get a chance to see it, please do. It's a great video. Of the beat tradition, in 1989, Sherry D. studied at Naropa University's Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics in Boulder, Colorado. You can't think of a better name for a school, I don't think. She's also the director of the spoken word program at Banff, and importantly, she is the editor of the spoken word workbook, which has just been released, and it's a fine production, impressive indeed. Sherry D. Wilson.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm not going to talk about dildos, Billy. I thought I'd talk a little about aging, because it is a Feast of Fools night, and aging is foolish. And so I'll start with this. A slippery slope, anti-aging, and the skiing, peeing story all in one. The other day I met this young whippersnapper who says, "So what was it like in the olden days before mini disc players?" Yeah, mini disc players, the olden days. My mind, reel to reels, performs analog covered wagons. So I told this young whippersnapper iPod how I skied before the invention of snowboards, which he could not believe. BS, he says. Before snowboards, I say. Back in the day when there was still snow to blow, we were the real ski team, the professional no-style ski team. 6 chicks with extreme theme. And I told him how we take our old cassette players, you know, the ones that look like Black Magic chocolate boxes, or, you know, what else do they look like? Oh yes, old shoe boxes. And we duct tape them to our bodies like suicide bombers before our time. iPod, way back before Walkmans, we figured out how to see God. And we'd put on our headphones, and we'd smoke a fatty, and we'd press, "Go Led Zeppelin, go Pink Floyd, go Hendrix, only classics for the freaks, wired for sound." Down the mountains, high-strung tunes, we were Raven Mountain monsoons, ballistic chicks, not remastered like some re-erected slick dick that's never felt the inside of a pussy without a second skin. Oh no! I told him how we'd blast through those mega bunks like Mach 5 G-Force hypersonic supernova tank girls on 220 rocket skis, dark side of the moon on our headphones, K2 Solomon heads beneath our lace-up boots, and we'd hit the moguls. Hardcore, max air, speed bump extraordinaire, shooting stars to the cosmos, sunshine. We were the real meal deal even before McDonald's ruined real. And we were the nasty-ass good old bad girls. Even before there was a word for avalanche, we were skiing off the sides of mountains like sticks of pistol dynamite, aerial snow angels. We took Black Diamond runs like they were bunny hills. Even before you were imagined by your mummy and your daddy, we were reverberating to the ice crystal chorus of an unnamed snow goddess called Naturama. And Whippersnapper says, well, now you're really dating yourself. I said, well, actually, I'm dating someone younger than you. Abracadabra! Poof! There was this one day in early spring. Early spring. Spring, so spring, even the snow thought it was hot. And the professional no-style teams standing in this long lift line, stoned out of our minds, wineskin through Raybine moonshine in the sunshine. When we heard this high-pitched scream, this blue murder bellow coming from this patch of trees just above us, and everyone in the long lift line turns around to look. I mean, what's going on in the trees up there? It's too early in the season. It can't be a bear. And, well, I guess she was a beginner. And I guess she went into the trees to pee. And I guess she pulled her one-piece ski suit down around her knees. And I guess her skis started to slide down the slope. And I guess she couldn't stop because she was a ski bunny. And she came blasting out of the trees at warp speed. And she was screaming. And she wasn't thinking, because all that screaming causes everyone to turn around and look. And Lady Godiva Divine flies by in the long ski lift line with her one-piece ski suit down around her knees, flailing behind her now like an inflatable Lovecraft. A blow-up unitard, screaming and peeing and skiing all at the same time. Multitasking she was. Past the howling ski lift line with a long, hilarious yellow trail of misfortune, almost Olympiad pee extending behind her in a golden trail of bad memory. Later in the lodge, I told her she could get an endorsement for that kind of embarrassment. V8. And then it hit me, whippersnapper. We're all going downhill. But really, it's about how. It's about how we go down. And now I would like to invite Malcolm Mooney, a painter and a wonderful jazz impresario. And I would like to invite Kelvin Bell from New York, who's here to play with Quincy, to come and jam with me. So we're going to play around with this. I wrote this piece, Feast of Fools. It's April Fools, and we're all fools. I was thinking of the tarot card, actually, the zero, and the beginning of the journey. The tarot card for fool is the beginning of the journey. It's zero. And I thought, yeah, zero. And I'm going to think about transformation. So I have this piece about transformation, and do we have a lot of reverb on Mr. Malcolm? A lot of reverb. what do we say, 600? A delay, what do you call it, 600? 500. Maybe 500, 600 delays.
Oh, thank you.
Let's hear it for Derek, the sound man. Sexy Madonna from
Florence. I said, sexy Madonna from Florence. Sexy Madonna from Florence. Sexy Madonna from Florence. She brought rain in such like torrents. I said, sexy Madonna from Florence.
Sexy Madonna from Florence stands before me in the after-hour street lamp torch on cobbles of curb in that crazy bardo space twixt theater and life. She stands opposite me on stones of ancient lane, rife with Lorca in her vein, and the gypsy flamingo clapping, and the flues of countless dust rising, and the zapatiado heel snapping, and the deep sun shadow of duende blood wrapping ghosts around and between us. Hantayando! Like a dancing spirit, it hangs over our head. Like the agony of an animal with 3 spears in its side, it hangs over our heads. Like the blindfolded poet with 7 rifles aimed at his heart, it hangs over our heads. Like the single word, fire! Execution's devolution, assassination of desire. The air is charged with an Omphalos hit. What a beautiful show, she says. I can hear Lorca's voices rise.
Ballad of the moon, ballad of the moon, ballad of the cantos nuevos, cantos nuevos.
It's from the grave, she says. Sexy Madonna from Florence. Where's the hanged man on a long chain of devastated pearls? Shockwave around her neck, like a high arcana boa constrictor. I think woman strangled by her own pet tarot card, poisoned by a traitor's elixir. Asp! 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 Sexy Madonna from Florence stands restless in a spotlight of Belgian moon full of early spring. She shivers with a shudder, shifts from one foot to the other, swathed in a light blue cashmere shawl. I think she's a chrysalis Stonewall. She's a chrysalis Stonewall. She's a chrysalis stone. She's a chrysalis stone. She's a chrysalis stone. She's a chrysalis stone. She's a chrysalis stone walled, 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 stone walled. She's a chrysalis stone walled. She's a chrysalis stone walled. She's a chrysalis stone, 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 stone walled. She's a chrysalis stone walled. So I lift her stole from her shoulders to her head as a hood or a veil. And that's when I espy the perfect tail of her black liquid liner. How she draws down the moon with her eye. I am close enough to see inside. She's more than Cleopatra's disguise. She might even be Isis. Eyes so deep, they make me afraid to fall into them. I freeze. For her eyes would need an expedition. They are Mariana's Trench, Challenger Deep, 36,000 feet. They mesmerize, so suggestive. They are the swinging pocket watch. They induce hypnotic sleep. They induce hypnotic sleep. They induce hypnotic sleep. Entranced, I submerse myself slow. Rip, current, undertow. Sense of time, space slips away. Time, space slips away. Am I an astronomer? Am I an astronomer? Am I an astronomer? I don't know. In mind's eye, I am Leonardo's last brushstroke of her eyes. And she is the great-grand-great-grand-great-grand-great-grand-great-grand-great-grand-great-grand-daughter of Mona Lisa. Her eyes, her demise, for they will drive men mad with longing and mystery. They are the impossible placebo. I dream of being the surrealist in Paris who plots to steal her eyes from the walls of the Louvre so I can look into Santo Spirito forever. For her eyes are a Mesopotamian magnum opus eris, older than the stones on which she stands. Her eyes a direct line to the original amulet, essence of earth, pyramid of seashell and sands. She whispers, I will tell you my secrets. I will tell you my secrets. I will tell you my secrets. And in my dreams, 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 dreams, and in my dreams, dreams, and in my dreams. Now, maybe it was the Lorca show that shifted her shadow so. I don't know. But as she speaks of her dreams in Italian whisper low, it's like her breath lifts from the cave of the crow. Like she goes to Point Nemo, divines herself, and returns with a crazy Nostradamus afterglow. Forward in time to see the unknown of who she is. And her hanged man swings across her belly there on the cobblestone as she breaks through, spiral spun, incredible. She gives birth to herself before me in the nocturne, her head a halo as she lowers her eyes and sees into her own vision, her own apparition in which she flies, morphing, mystic, 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 morphing, mystic. It could be a play. We're all in a play. Is this not a play? Her lover advances, breaks the spell, puts his arm around her. It's time to go. Are you cold? And she says, I am warm now. I am warm now. I am warm now. And I return to the words of my teacher. She said, you have entered the realm of gold, and now I know what she meant. For I would crush a priceless pearl and drink it to stay in this moment for time, for time, for all time. Zingaro, 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 Zingaro. Malcolm Mooney, Calvin Bell, thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Sherry D. That was an incredibly moving poem. Unfortunately, the skiing one reminded me of the fateful night I decided to take a midnight crap on the crest of a glacier. But we won't go there. No. It was bad. And for our final act of the evening, it's my great pleasure to introduce Quincy Troop, the author of 17 books, including 8 volumes of poetry. The latest, The Architecture of Language, won the 2007 Patterson Award for Sustained Literary Achievement. Quincy has received so many awards that it's hard to enumerate them all, but several American Book Awards. He won an Emmy for his segment in the Bill Moyer's Power of the Word. He certainly has had a vast and most excellent career, especially doing some work with the great Miles Davis, of course. And one of his books was called Miles, the Autobiography, Miles Davis with Quincy Troop, which won, that was another American Book Award, I believe. Anyways, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Quincy Troop.
singing like birds flying through spring winds, thunder clapping with rolling consonants. Their feathers echoing colors now, black or white or blue. As a ranky-dank pressing flesh beneath them was immune to trailing blues stretched out behind him. Voices that blew rhythmic as cute soundtracks through the night sweet longing. Choo-chooing like wailing engines hurling down isolated tracks way out in the dead of night. Hush music around the voodoo bewitching hour of bats who like words cruising from a crew of Mad Hatter, good old boys were circling inside Hush Cave, where a strange blend of language was fashioning itself now from cries and screams, the whooshing of beating wings, drumming pell-mell blues through the dark cinematography of a dream bordering on nightmare as it wraps itself around you now, as it were, a cocoon. You find yourself there inside the cave of your head. And you are whatever it is you think you are there, brand new. You are what you believe in as truth. Right then, right there, when you hear sheets of sound rushing out of the bell of a saxophone, it is a stomped down cornucopia of magic spiraling out of a dream from a golden axe shaped like an elephant's trunk. The shape of need here is a question mark, bewitching us with breath, power, mystery, stealth. Is what new language is shaping itself into now, inside the neon air, hip-hopping and rapping in voice rhymes of young people. Before us right now is what the mind's ear reminds the tongue of here, chasing the sound of a freight train moving at full speed. Is a syntax, a jackety-jack of wheels rolling through the slick flow of tracks bedazzling gears. The song of it all beguiling us with amazement. The rackety-rack of steel spinning over and down rails, underground or overground tracks. The sound we hear is real when we know it, coming from the terrifying mystery of a hip shaman's horn. See the music form in the shape of a hot tongue of a big flame lighter, tonguing out gush heat. Flames as sound, as words inside the scorched flow of lava, inside a tongue that is red, white, and blue, laced with dues paid in Philadelphia. In Hamlet, North Carolina, where a language was fractured there, congealed until it hopscotched itself to its own backbeat conundrum, before it peeled across the air, clear as a bell ringing cold on Sundays, unleashed a rage in rhythm and tempo. Heated voices in sermons became a fire there in flight, was volcanic with syllables aglow. The night flaming with embers, washing through the breeze like a tribe of fireflies swarming in the night sky. A voice pure and guttural, a primal scream, looping clues of prophecy here, blue or sweetly singing. As a slew of birds trudging across a fondue sky laced with magenta, their music heard in ringing bells as the wind trunk trills melodic, as it breezes lilting language through chiming leaves, trembling like lovers in heat time when the air is all aglow and splendiferous with greens, yellows, and golds, bright reds of bougainvilleas, jacarandas fragrant as voices of doves cooing, sweet pink of flaring rhododendrons that burst into shapes of trumpet bells, evoking miles, playing muted live in memory. Clean as a whistle is where a poet stretches rubber sentences in the bridges of music now. Language reinventing itself daily out of lost and found words. constructing what it is to speak as a true American here, today, right now. Words moving through poems as magicians through parades. Clowns dressed up as birds, adverbs, adjectives, surrounding nouns with bright verbs. Reminds the senses of sweet odor of Frankie Panty perfume. Rhymes and rhythms intoxicating the system. Rhymes and rhythms intoxicating the senses. Rhymes, and rhythms intoxicating the senses. Intoxicating the senses. Intoxicating the senses. Intoxicating the senses. Flock of blackbirds jamboreeing high up in the mango tree in my backyard in Guadalupe. Listen and wonder what they're jabbering about, hidden up in shadows of twilight, approaching darkness, spreading like wings of these birds when they take flight. And that jabbering reminds me of black people gathered on corners beneath my window in Harlem in summertime, running down whatever jazzy jambalaya language they have to offer up for thought. I listen and hear their loud, insistent slap of dominoes hitting tables, spiced with boasts of men, women too, who have mastered tongue-in-cheek put-downs mixed with salt and pepper wisdom, saucing up air around the game. I have always loved listening to language like this, improvising solos spit from lips, dripping syllables, popping firecracker sentences, dropping neologic words into everyday oral speech. But these blackbirds are a special case, since I can't enter the meaning of their language. Are they happy or mad, hungry or sad, making fun of humans like me, listening to them perplexed, trying to decipher their intricate jabbering music packed with jackhammer rhythms, running it down in language so high-pitched it seems close to frenzy, like they are discussing important topics relevant to survival of the entire globe. Though how would we know, since few of us even listen or hear anything we ever say to each other? So why would anyone think to listen to some blackbirds jamboreeing high up in a mango tree in Guadalupe, jabbering away about whatever in their jackhammer rhythmic high-pitched voices, so insistent they seem close to frenzy? Words like loud slaps of dominoes hitting tables, spiced with boasts of men, women too, full of sarcastic tongue-in-cheek put-downs, salt and pepper wisdom saucing up the air around the game. Maybe we can decipher some secrets from these blackbirds, learn from their language if only we listen. Perhaps there is a link here, a connection where we can all locate our spirits in a common fertile space, where words and language can be a guide, a possible guide, glue the glue, holding everything together, coming from blackbirds, blackbirds, coming from blackbirds, coming from blackbirds, 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 coming from blackbirds, Blackbirds, the language, meaning coming from blackbirds, blackbirds, blackbirds. Came together on the Mississippi River, Chuck. You there riding the rocking blue sound wave, duck walking the poetry of hoodoo down. And you with a mojo hand of juju, crowing the gut bucket blues news, running it down for 2 records sold to make a penny. Back then, in those first days, majoring in mouth. A long gone lean lightning rod, picking the edge, charging the wires of songs, huckabucking, roll over Beethoven, playing devil's music till white devils stole it from you and called it their own rock and roll. Devils like Elvis and Pat Boone, who never duck walked back in the alley with you, and Bo Diddley, Little Richard, and the fat man from New Orleans. All y'all slapping down songs meaner than the smell of toe jam and rock gut whiskey breath. Back there in them back rooms of throwdown. Back there where your song lyrics grew like fresh corn. You, Chuck Berry, an authentic American genius of barbecue sauce and deep fried catfish licks, Jack Salmon guitar, honky-tonk rhythms, jangling warm, vibrating sounds, choo-chooing train whistles, fiddling and smoking down the track of the blues, motivating the little Queenie Maybelline, decked out in red on Serendipity in St. Louis, alarms rolling off your whipping tongue in the words of Johnny, Johnny be good, Johnny, 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 Johnny be good, Johnny, 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 Johnny be good. You clued us back in to the magical hook'em of ancestors. There seemed the soul sweat in your breath, that blood in your sluicing strut, and too much monkey business. The reason of their deaths, cold and searing your spirit, reaching down to the bones of your roots, deep in the show-me-saw, blood saw of Missouri. Your prune hawk look profiling where you rode your white Cadillac of words, cruising the highways of language, what we speak and hear even now inside the music, breathing inside your cadences. You shaped and wheeled the music, duck walking the length of the stage, duck walk your singing metaphors of every day. Slip, slide, and strut, slip, slide, and strut, slip, slide, and strut. Vibrating your hummingbird wings, your strumming style, the cutting edge, and you were what was to come. You were what was to come. So hail, hail Chuck Berry, hail, hail Chuck Berry, root doctor of rock and roll, authentic American genius, tongue and deep river syllables, laying down the mojo and juju of rock and roll. Rock and roll, Rick Doctor, spirit of America. Rock and roll, you Chuck Berry, Rick Doctor, spirit of American rock and roll. Rick Doctor, spirit of American rock and roll. Rock and roll, rock and roll. I just want to say one thing. I don't talk much when we perform. We are both from St. Louis. We're both from St. Louis. He's from St. Louis. We went to the same high school. And so Chuck Berry I grew up down the street from Chuck Berry. So that's why Chuck Berry. Into space, time walks bass strings of Charlie Mingus. Jambalaya rhythms deepening our ears. Hear voices springing from tongues of Mingus, riding sweet bass strings, deep stepping through sound, through light and shadows of blood, cut out into the leaping night. Walking music swings the wind as tongues of evening caress the flying darkness there into rhythm. Tight embraces of sound thump bass grooves, lengthening the graceful flights of cadences, shading cards of voodoo. Juicing mean Watts boys, sluicing, shimmering down mean streets of the city of angels. When Mingus played a strange, disquieting beauty, turned it on, believed in whatever he thought he was back then, played it all the way here, where I am dreaming now, listening within this moment of musical amazement, walking in his voice, riding in through vibrating strings, humping and thumping like naked lovers inside musky, hot, steaming, rumpled backwater bedrooms in the afterglow of undercover damp light in the nighttime of their dreams. Mingus sky-breaking his bass through steep blue lifetimes of urban screams. Who doing what to who here? Inside the city of lights, raining tears, raining blood and blue showers, electrifying nights where Mingus walked music through voodoo, flying all the way home, thumping the rhythm. Mingus stalks the music, tone after magical tone, walks the mysterious music all the way home, tone after magisterial tone.
Let's go to switching in the kitchen.
Be switching in kitchens when cooks work magic through pots. Out on dance floors, hips gyrate like poets constructing lines, sometimes switch and drop from proper to colloquial. New days are forever changing color, weather, voices switch back and forth up in the sky. Down here, breezes caress bodies, sashay through thoroughfares, inside language, doing whatever flip-flops it has to survive. Inside music, everything matters. A poet steps off the count, syncopating syllables, meters. The voice music falls over the edge of a cliff of chromatic scales. Shades flash bright clues as water skedaddling new diamond points imitate blush birds, spraying syllables through showering waterfalls, mist. Scheming language skews, stretches, slips and slides through space. Sounds crack, ensconced rapture somewhere here. Listen to these hair-spitting ruptures politicians spew every day in sad convergences of bad flat notes. As time signatures skip to my loo through lace, grace notes bloom in poetic lines, loom post hates, push and zing the voices through sound, shimmy shingle, juxtapose in place, the poet's high energy gymnastics, hijack words, switch up in double backs, pivots, crossovers as skywalkers wing wordplays deep beyond boundary lines, where NBA gunners drop trays. Pop cards created by ballade touche, body magic up inside rhyme schemes, rhapsodic. Their body music reflects light as spirits land, curling through prismatic flight. Oh, tell me about it, brother. Tell me about it, Kobe Bryant. LeBron James up there in lights, imitating Bird, Bebop. Well, you needn't, because great solos are trace of bullet flights, Sun Ra and Coltrane, breathing solos as they zoom around space, riding high priest monks into any room they played. Brought hijinks magic for poets to play. Brought hijinks magic for poets to play. Put a little bloom on this poetic language tip. Rip diglossic, scatology, pitch zooming in on a neologic trip, rapology, dripping words of obfuscation, philoplumes, orgasmic dolos, zip through traces of fizz on the rebound of a champagne blitz. I telescope a Hubble, inside clues, constantly scope bubbles, link strings of pearls inside champagne glasses, sans clues. My attitude fed by glass rises to the top, floats over blown grass, grows like sassafras. My voice a reverberating echo inside a memory dome. I communicate with my mother, break through the fog of old age disconnect. I ask you now, brother, where's your boom box? Are your false teeth lost in a jar somewhere? Is your ego drowning inside an old piss pot? Funky as this sick war invented by chicken hawk, neocon, bushwag. And is this a early morning alarm clock going off for you? Sans hard on, a wake-up call, a tall drink of confusion? Are you a 2-watt on a demo switch, belching gas, ignorant as snuff, a moron looking for a conundrum inside a bait and switch pimp niche? But don't panic just yet, no. run out to investigate chromatography, lapis lazuli. Do you think you might need a tad bit of Viagra to get your love thing juiced out on the dance floor? As you're listening to an echo chamber of words, what was that reverb I heard glancing off those winged syllables that just flew by? Like birds inside a sentence, laced with miles and miles of blue history, rigmarole, stitched with trumpet blasts, obligatos, odorate against past abracadabras, running like scanning doodly squats, who only drop accents and dimes on the rhythmic line, while some only drop trays from behind set screens. Which one are you, Mr. Flip-Flop? Which one of you, Mr. Flip-Flop? Slow on the crossover dribble? Kitchen is what I mean to do here. This poem's trying to do a dance on this page with words, metaphor, and reverb, switching back and forth through rhythm and time signatures, improvising through space, switching up on a dime. My lines trace words, looking for birds, winging through dirges, blue as Lady Day's words on strange fruit. Sluicing through language, this poet's traceable tip tries to put hip bloom on the rap pollock verbal trip, employing pigology, filler plumes, fusing words to create a new syntax with no nonsense from politically correct verbs to slice and dice as I string out a proper poetic sentence. Run them into solos, hello, hello, run them into solos, hello, my voice shooting through syntax quick as a string of escaping bunny rabbits, looking for a way out of a house of glass, rising to the top like a linkage of pearl drop bubbles. I jazz sassafras, telescope bubble constantly inside the galaxy. I raise a champagne glass, offer up razzmatazz, rhythms carving out meaning inside language and images, rhythms carving out meaning inside images and language and images that just might last, that just might last, that just might last. I relived that moment once again in my mind, as I had after first laying eyes on you in that dreamscape long ago. And in the dream you are still stunning as I remember. The spiritual beauty shining in your face was there, as radiant as when the light first caught you in my sideways glance. Then surrounded you with a Blu-ray aura, and now as then you are deeply inscrutable, mysterious as daybreak or sunset, the interval between those two called twilight, when our minds play tricks, fool us all the time, when what we think we see could be a mirage, an illusion, perhaps a magician's dazzling sleight of hand trick, a moment fused with sweet seduction, as when you first undressed and I saw you naked, your body supple as any I could imagine, so perfectly sensuous then, your swollen plum lips ravishing, so succulent as they still are now in this present rapture. And your tongue was lathering my imagination down, licking over the glistening honey of your pursed lips was an invitation. Your mouth open, your curling tongue beckoning my lips, my tongue to suck your peeled mango breast, standing at attention. Nipples hard, your pubic hair a mound of sweet dark moss beckoned my lascivious thoughts, focusing like a laser beam on the hot sweetness I imagined was there under that marvelous clump of dark steaming moss. It was what I remembered as I reached out to embrace you when the lights came on and the dreamscape vanished. Poof, just like that. As then, wiping out your lovely, seductive likeness, though the memory is still there, seared as a longing, a miraculous dream, a rapture, mysterious as ever, lingering as now, your inscrutable, deep loveliness, always beckoning like a drug, an invitation, so rapturous it calls out to me always, as now, when I am dreaming, you always beckon, seducing me, as now, as long as I dream. A man walks in slow motion as through a dream. Above the sky listens to blue heat waves rolling across the miracle of his deep expanse. As pulsating clove rhythms of music come and go, improvising as they please. Voices sashay through syncopated beats. Dreams suddenly appear, naked and clueless all over the globe. And time, dressed as a sleek Jamaican thunderbolt, zips quick as a blink through shotgun meter dashes, cracking like a whiplash. He flashes down chutes of white lane red train lanes on a track, shoots like a bullet through day sprinters, bunched in an arm-flailing group behind him, dropping tears, sprinkled like bombs, detonating in their blues-drenched dreams. As they watch the thunderbolt zap to victory in awe, dashing their hopes of glory as they slingshot across the finish line. Suddenly, he is their fear, a lightning bolt flash, zapping through a blue sky, deepening above thoughts of a mumbling black man, stumbling like a drunk inside slobbering, polemic speech where a poetic thought was just chopped off, and reminds of surprise in the eyes of a guillotine hand after the sharp blade slices it off, the neck clean, and quick as a laser beam scalpel inside the black man's brain leaves him silent as a rock, looking mute as a coconut cracked open, rolling mysteriously by his feet. You play. And the moment is heavy when the blue heat wave surrounding him vacillates in its rhythms of love, just when an oscillating storm cloud appears above, exploding the sky, it darkens the pulsating music. Then everything for the flummoxed man becomes a confusing flow. Though syncopations still come and go as they please, improvising upon rhythms of speech, the black man, the man, hears inside his frazzled brain words grooving now as beats, flashing quick, quietly, blink, quick as a strobe light. Through his thoughts, he sees the thunderbolt zap, a whiplash across the splash sky in a moment of speed. Then truth enters his spirit when he moves as through a dream, walking in slow motion as a breeze turns in, as a song in a voice. The sun breaks through clouds again, much brighter than hope. People swirling around the world in chaos feel now. Walking through a dream, the man hears music surrounding his spirit, senses his syncopation end to end through the day as fly cars whiplash athwart a lucid blue sky. Rhythms come and go inside heartbeats as they please. Around the globe, smiles break light across people's faces, replicate daybreak cracking through night's deep longing. Enter hearts pulsating as they please, please, please. Enter hearts beat pulsating as they please, please, please. Enter heartbeats pulsing as they please, please, please. Enter heartbeats pulsing as they please, 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 please. I thought that. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Quincy. What a fine, fine ending to a fine evening. And I would also like to thank the magnificent guitar stylings of Kelvin Bell. And also the great echo effects of Malcolm Mooney with Sherry D. And all of our performers this evening, as well as the many volunteers that have worked so hard to put this together. Thank you to all of them. Let's give it up for them. And I'd like to conclude the evening with a reminder that there's all those wonderful items and CDs and books, especially the spoken word book, all out there at the front. And the CISWF mailing list sign-up sheet and volunteer sign-up, I think, is out there. And thank you all, you, the audience, the great audience, for coming out for poetry again. Thank you.